Hello, my name's Liam Waldron. I'm the coolest man ever, and I do a lot of cool stuff, and I'm gonna be rich and famous. So, what I'm talking about today is how I'm gonna parent my child. So, the scenario is that I have a child who's a kid, or not a child who's a kid, a child who's a boy, and there's a few things that I obviously from my experiences that I want to make sure my son has. Um, but I'm going to start here. I think the obvious elephant in the room is the phone thing. So, oh God. My son's not having a phone for a while. That's number one. He's not having a phone until he's at least shit. I also don't want to be the weird dad that doesn't give him his kid stuff. I do think there's some room to you need to figure it out. I'm only 19, so I don't really know that much about parenting yet, but like the phone thing is going to be nuts cuz we don't know that much about it. They haven't been around for that long. We don't know what it's like when you've used a phone for 20 years, what that does to your brain. And especially boomers, they don't use their phone that much. They are addicted like the kids are, but the boomers don't really use their phone as much. They have some restraint, they have jobs. They're not as lost in the sauce. Kids though, they can't really control themselves like that. So most kids who get a phone, they get them when they're 12, 13, 14, and it's just the parents just want to give them a phone so that they can not have to listen to them and they'll just shut up. Like I was in a burger joint and this kid was so unbelievably fat, and he had these chubby cheeks. He was this white kid with like a buzz cut, these chubby cheeks, these glasses. He was wearing an orange shirt, sitting up on the stool, and he had these massive headphones on with his chubby little face. And then he had this iPad, and he was just staring at the iPad. And then he got his food, and he was like, got a big burger, looking at his iPad. Dopamine. And then I was just like, damn, I do not want my kid to end up like that. So my kid's not getting a phone until he's at least, I'm going to say 15 off the top of my head. Probably actually 12, I think is it. What am I saying? That's the issue. Fuck, it's so hard to. Okay, they got to start making phones that don't have all the capabilities. I do need to be able to contact my child. I think that's a feature that, you know, I think the problem with the phones is just the instant dopamine. If you think about what life was probably like, or what it's said to be like back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, kids growing up in that era had to, if they were bored in their house and it was a Sunday and there was nothing to do, they would go and pick up a freaking guitar, or they would read a book. They would actually do stuff when they were bored, you know? Whereas now it's like, kids who are bored, what is there to do? They just scroll on their phone because it's more fun. But bro, like Elon Musk was buried in books as a kid. All of these super smart people, they read books. Sorry, that's the timer. They read, and I want my kid to have that opportunity as well. I don't want him to form those bad habits so early on. So, age 12 to 15, he's having a flip phone. If he was 12 right now, he'd have a flip phone. That, you know, I think there is phones that are just light phones or whatever the fuck. Maybe. I kind of like the idea of my son answering the phone. Hey, Dad. You know? So that's the whole phone thing. Now, I don't know how I ended up so good. I really don't. Because my parents, it's kind of like a less government thing in my house where I personally have had access to whatever I really want, but I don't know if I'm a special snowflake. I haven't really indulged in drugs, or I haven't done anything bad. So it's like, how did I end up so good? I'm trying to recreate that, but I know everyone's personality is different. So what parameters would I, you know, put in my household to create a good son? It's tough, man. I don't know anything about parenting. I think there would be some trial and error. Obviously, it's a journey, but I know the phone would not help. As for girls, we're assuming my son likes girls, which would be a good checkpoint. I don't know. I think obviously the daughter thing is obvious. It's like most dads are not chill with their daughter having a boyfriend. But your son, obviously you need to respect the other person's kid, but it's like, my son, I personally kind of want to be, I'll parent from a distance with that kind of thing. Like, I'll stay over here as long as you're not impregnating women and getting STDs. You're doing what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's any much more to that. I think I'm completely out of the game when he's 16, 17. It's like, you're good. You should know what to do by now. If I parented you well enough, you're not going to be doing stupid stuff, which is, that's how I've done, man. I'm 19 and I haven't done any stupid stuff. So, girls, have fun, man. Don't do anything stupid. Have fun. Now we're going to get into drinking, smoking, all of that. Again, if I wanted to, my parents aren't necessarily making sure I'm not doing heroin and stuff like that. And I naturally don't really want to do that stuff. I'm pretty locked in on everything else I'm doing. So how, obviously it's a hypothetical, but how do I recreate that? I think honestly, my parents they didn't necessarily let me figure stuff out. They still had rules, but it wasn't too much. I've kind of understood on my own what's good and bad. I think that's probably the approach I'll take with this as well, is I'm not gonna if my kid came home and he was drunk or high, it's like, I don't think that's gonna be chill. There's no way I can just be chill with that, but it's so hard to say. Because I know drugs are really bad, and it's pretty easy to get sucked into worse stuff than just Zaza and alk. But the thing is, nowadays, alcohol is just, in certain areas, it's just like, basically, parents don't even care. But if you're trying to get jacked, you're going to know not to drink. So that's going to bring me to my last point. Am I going to make this kid train? Yeah. My dad made me go to Olympic weightlifting in 5th grade. But before that, he's always been into CrossFit. So before that, I was just, when people don't push things on you, it kind of makes you curious about it, and it lets you form your own opinion. So I think that's what happened early on. And then when he made me go, I didn't want to go. I was like, whatever. And he was like, you're going to be so thankful that I made you go to Olympic weightlifting. And then I always have been. But then again, there during COVID, my dad made my whole family go to the gym every day and do pretty hardcore CrossFit stuff. It was ninth grade, eighth and ninth grade. I was doing it. I was in pretty good shape. I didn't get jacked or anything because I didn't have any testosterone yet, but I got in good shape and I probably got stronger. I probably built a bit of a base for what I have now because I do have massive legs, which is genetic, but also Olympic weightlifting, CrossFit, that kind of stuff does build your legs. I got sore, so I was doing stuff, but I didn't transform into some superhuman during that period. But he did make me go, and there were days I didn't want to go, and he made me go, and I think that was good. That taught me discipline, even though in the moment. You can't really, especially with kids, it's hard to, their mind's not as open to stuff. It happens with adults, but their minds are generally not very open to new information. And you kind of have to do things from an outside point of view, or do things. You can't always do things directly, but in that case, him making me go to the gym taught me the importance of that, and it also taught me that once I went to the gym, the whole rest of the day was free, which I think that's probably how I'll, you need to be rewarded, and you need to feel the reward of going to the gym, which for me, it was always, I did something really hard, and I knew after I had the whole rest of the day to play fucking video games, which might not be the best thing, but I think you need to start one thing at a time. It's like, hey, we're going to go to the gym in the morning, but after that, you can do whatever the hell you want. That's the way I think, that's what worked for me as a kid, and that's how I'm going to do it. Hey, you can go to the gym, or hey, you can play video games, but first you got to go to the gym. It's going to take us an hour max, and you're going to feel so much better once you're done with that, and the whole rest of the day, it's all you. That's the way to do it. Same with, you got to start small, just plant the seed, make them do almost the bare minimum. If you were implementing jujitsu is what I'm thinking. Hey, you're going to go to this 3 times a week. It's an hour long. And then over time, it's going to build, and they're going to start liking that stuff. Or they won't. But regardless, you have to try something to know whether or not you like it or not. That's just above all else. So, my kid, I'm going to force upon him good habits, but I'm not going to force him to be interested in stuff. Because this diagram is absolutely insane. I think I'm going to make another video on this, but this is absolutely nuts. That's all I got. That's how I'm going to parent my kid. Let me know how you guys are going to parent your kids, bro. You got to start thinking about this stuff. If you're 18, 19, I mean, maybe latest, I think ideally latest you would have kids would be like 35. It's the latest because I don't want to be that old dad. I'm thinking 30. Maybe a bit before. Obviously, when I'm rich, it's going to be a little different. I'll maybe have more capacity to consider it, but earlier. But, something to think about. You got to start thinking about how you're going to parent your kid, because I think about that stuff when I'm creating my own habits and learning stuff along my own journey. Is like, how am I going to teach my kid about this, So, let me know y'all's thoughts. Peace out.